It was through some of the darkest times of my life when spirit began to make itself known to me through signs and clues from the other side. It helped me understand that I was not alone, that I was connected, and there was more to life than just this experience. I call those magic moments. I'm Christy Simoncelli, and I'll be your host for this podcast, Unreasonable Magic, where I will share some of the most compelling stories that cannot be explained away through logic from my work as a psychic medium, an astrologer, and a human design consultant, working with clients in my own life. Please join me for the magic. Hey friends, it's Christy Simoncelli, your host here at Unreasonable Magic. I'm so excited to be back recording with you, and I am very much in the honeymoon phase with this podcast, so hopefully I will not inundate you with too many podcast episodes unless you're ready to hear them all. This episode today, I want to talk to you about human design. So human design is one of my great loves. I didn't meet it till later in life. And I don't know that I've publicly spoke about when I found it. It was a really important time for me. I was going through a lot. I didn't know what was happening. I was kind of in a state of flux, if you will, which is something that happens to everybody once they get into their 40s. I was experiencing my Uranus opposition, which we can talk about that. I was also experiencing some stuff with Saturn. So Saturn's no walk in the park. Massive life transitions were occurring for me. But when I found it, and I say found it because I didn't look for it, someone brought it to me. One of my dearest friends who I have since come to call E.F. Hutton. So those of you old enough to remember those commercials, when E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen. So she's my E.F. Hutton. Hopefully I can get her on here one day and we can do more E.F. Hutton stuff together. But basically when she talks, I listen because she's sort of my spirit whisperer. She brings something to my attention. Even if I'm not in the mood, I go and I investigate it because she seems to have a direct link for me. Anyway, human design. As a line 4 person, I get my best stuff from other people. So it's really critical that that's how I found human design, at least to me. We'll talk about the lines. There's 6 lines. We'll talk about those in a little bit as well. But let me first tell you about human design in case you do not know what it is. So human design is a channeled mystical system. It involves many different modalities, the I Ching, Kabbalah, astrology, chakra system. There's a lot that goes into this. And I think what's the most important thing for you to know is not how or why or how it's built, but that it's freakishly accurate. I find it works best if I describe it as sort of a mystical Myers-Briggs. We've all had to take that quiz at work one time or another, which gives you this like microcosm into your personality. And human design does that, except for you don't have to take a quiz. It's all based on your birth information, much like astrology is. So I have been studying astrology most of my life. I may have mentioned at some point my mom and my dad back in the 1970s. So now you know I'm old as dirt. Were very into astrology. Took community classes. I think they don't do that anymore so much since COVID, but took community classes on astrology. And my mother especially was hooked. So from that point on, we had the Dell Horoscope magazine all over our house. We had books everywhere. I just grew up with the glyphs and the signs and the energies, and I understood them. I understood them the way that my mother understood them. So much later in life, when I would do more of my own in-depth study, I took on new meaning for things. But as a kid, astrology was all around me. So when I find this human design system, which is comprised of all of these other systems, and you get this funny looking map. It's a body graph. It looks like a silhouette of a person, and then the energy centers are blocked onto it, and there's lines, and there's gates, and there's all these things. It's pretty complex. And I remember in that first day seeing this, and I started to actually shake. I did not know what I was encountering. I've since gone to look up the day that I first did a deep dive, which was the day that I heard about it. I heard it on a podcast that no longer is in existence. That was E.F. Hutton had sent me that podcast to listen to. Jenna Zoe, who is a world-renowned human design person, was talking about human design, and so I was just caught up. That was September 20th, 2018. I since have learned that that was a Mercury Cazimi day. I don't even think I knew what Mercury Cazimi meant back then, but there was a Mercury Cazimi at 28 degrees of Virgo, in case anyone wants to do a little digging and fact-finding that day. So if you aren't familiar with a Mercury Cazimi, it is the day, it happens several times a year, but Mercury and the sun are super close together. They're actually within minutes, 17 minutes of each other. And because they're so close and Mercury has everything to do with consciousness and awareness and how we communicate and think and share, when they're together, it is said that it's in the heart of the sun. And the sun makes it so we get information. We get profound insight that day, downloads, information is crystal clear. We know exactly what's been going on, even if we are otherwise confused. It's a great day to get messages and insights. This was also about a month before my mother got sick. And I remember that weekend, she and I were going to my daughter's parents' weekend at St. Bonaventure as a freshman. I graduated from St. Bonaventure many, many years ago, back before they had fireplaces on the floors and laundry where you could watch on your app to see if it was done. We used to schlep across campus with a basket of laundry and, of course, the world's biggest container of laundry soap because that's what mom bought at BJ's. So don't think about that when you're sending your kids to the laundromat with a 10-pound container of laundry soap that they may have to carry it in the rain and the snow one day. But I digress, as I often do. So mom and I were going down to visit my daughter at St. Bonaventure for Parents Weekend. We were just going to go for the day. It's an hour and a half away from my home, so it was easy day back and forth. And was the first time we'd probably spent a lot of one-on-one time together in quite a bit of time. There had been a lot of turmoil that summer, stuff I was going through, which I've come to realize was part of those astrological midlife moments I was having. And it was a nice day. It was a really good day. But when we went, I took everything I had printed about this human design thing that I had heard about earlier in the week and shared it with her. And I remember I'm driving and I'm showing her this, and here's my mother, my astrology guru, seeing this human design stuff for the first time. And she's like, "What is this?" And I said, "I don't really know." But I found it on a podcast that my friend had sent me. And it feels just really compelling, and I wanna learn all about it, and so she was taking it all in. My mother was one of the smartest people I've ever known, so to see her sort of immersed and just looking, I mean, I don't even know what I printed out. They were pretty simplistic things back then. What I did find out that first day about my human design was that I was a 4-1 manifesting generator, and I did not know what any of that meant, and I printed out my body graph, and I didn't know what that meant, but I recognized all of these astrology glyphs on the page, and I thought, "Well, I can figure this out because I know these guys." So, astrology was sort of my comfort, I guess, as I started to study human design. I bought books, I dug in, I was trying to understand, but what I didn't understand then was that my profile, a 4-1 profile, is pretty irregular. There's not a lot of us floating around. In fact, it's less than 1% of us that have that profile. And that's the thing that hooked me. Like, why am I so weird? I want to know all about this. So someone tell me what it means to be a 4-1. That's all I wanted to know at first anyway. And I couldn't really find that. None of the books were really breaking down the profiles and putting them together. And the 4-1 was so random, and truly nobody can really tell you what it's like to be a 4-1 except for another 4-1. So I say that to anyone who's involved in human design, no matter how far down the road they are. So I was frustrated, but it kept me digging. And that was what really, really hooked me. Because I had been going for years at that point through major life stuff. My health was weird. I had diagnosed with a variety of autoimmune illnesses. I had to stop drinking, which was a big deal because my family, that's all they do is drink. And I had to totally change my diet, my lifestyle. I found yoga. I quit spinning. I taught spinning for 10 years. No one would believe that anymore, but I did. It was too hard on my body. I remember I would leave a spin class and my ears would be pounding because my blood pressure was going crazy or whatever was happening on the inside. And I just found yoga and I started teaching yoga eventually. But all of this preceded human design. And I wish I had seen human design earlier on in the process. I think it might have given me a little bit of space to say, yeah, you're a little bit different than the average bear, and that's okay. But the goal is to sort of embrace the difference, not so much find how to fix you to get back to the way you thought you needed to be, if that makes sense. So when I start a human design class, I always talk about Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. So I know that sounds a little sophomoric and silly, but Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, was born with a special skill. We all were born with a special skill. He had a red nose that lit up. Now, mind you, he's fictional. And yes, I will sometimes pull up his chart in class because I like to go take things a step too far. But Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, was born with a beautiful red nose. We all know the story. thought it was cool until he went to school. And then the kids laughed at him and he went home and he was like, Mom, Dad, they think I'm a freak. And I believe it was his dad who found some coal or charcoal on the ground and covered up his nose. We all know the tale. And then one night, Santa came and asked, I need light to get through. I need a reindeer who might also be able to fly. Why did we dismiss his ability to fly as a reindeer? First of all, we so focused on his damn nose. But I need a reindeer who can fly, and it'd be great if one has a spotlight attached, maybe. So Rudolph comes in, saves the day, saves Christmas. Everybody loves Rudolph and his special nose. So my take with human design, which might vary from what some of you have heard, is we are all born with a red nose. Fill in the blank as to what it is. If it's your ability to juggle with one hand, talk to dead people, whatever you can do, write music, play piano with your feet. I don't know. Whatever your special skill is, odds are that is a thing you have squashed. And you probably squashed it early because someone was uncomfortable about how magical you are. All that to say, if we can use the system of human design in the way that it's intended, we learn about our strategy and our authority and our type, which is way too much for this podcast, but we learn about those things. We start to unpack the layers of crap. We start to get the charcoal off our nose and we get back to who we were when we showed up. When we knew our gift was cool, when we knew what we were doing was cool before anyone told us it was anything but. So anyone who tells you things, this could be teachers at school, the kids, the bus driver, your parents, your friends, your siblings, anyone, bad relationships can really also put charcoal on your nose. All those things can really pull you away from the essence of who you are. And if you use human design the way it's intended, by following your strategy, authority, and type, you get back to who you were meant to be in the first place. It's not meant to be done overnight. It's not an easy thing because a lot of the things that put us in this place may have been fear inducing on some level. It feels weird to do that, especially if it was like a parent who told you the thing you have that's awesome wasn't awesome. And then I almost feel like you're misbehaving, but it's like a weird pattern. And I realize I'm digressing, but that's kind of the essence here of human design. So when I work with clients, we go over the basics first. Like, this is your type. You are one of 5 kinds: generator, manifestor, projector, or reflector. I don't get a lot of reflectors because they're only 1% of the population. And then we'll talk about other parts of your chart. I don't lay it out mechanically. I try to look at what I see as the most interesting part of them, the most probably unusual or hard to access piece. And I kind of start from there. And we talk about all the things. And people, it's the best thing ever when I sit with someone to talk about human design because they start to glow a little from the inside. You can see them whether they put their hand on their heart or they cry sometimes or they just feel seen. It's wonderful to witness. And so that's why I know I will forever and always be talking about these things because none of us were built to fit the mold, as my dad used to say. They beat the hell out of that mold maker after you were born. I get it. Funny, ha. But none of us were built to fit any one particular mold, and yet society has really big expectations for us on how we need to show up in the world. But I'm here to tell you, you only need to show up the way that feels the best for you. So, through the course of my awareness of human design, I remember just sitting one day thinking, well, if I'm going to do this really well, I feel like I need to also get back deeply into astrology and remind myself about all the goodness that is there. And so I did that too. I have studied with amazing teachers over the course of the years. I have one primary teacher who does esoteric astrology, and then I have another primary teacher who does traditional astrology. So why do I need 2 teachers? I don't know. It's got something to do with being Gemini everything in the background. I'm an Aries sun, Cancer rising, and Gemini 5 planets. So I resonate deeply with Gemini, and we like to have 2 of everything. I have studied both kinds of astrology deeply. And what I'm working on this summer is putting the systems together. I use them all the time together, but I'm trying to put them together in a way that will make sense to other people, especially those who might be interested in astrology and or human design. I'm doing a workshop this summer at Lilydale, which I'll give you the details on at the end of the episode, but it's Friday, July 31st. If you think you might want to go. There's one the day before as well, just on Human Design 101. I've done human design classes a bunch. I've done astrology classes a bunch, but I've never put them all together like this. So I am super, super excited about this. So if you'd like to join, I can put the link to join in the show notes. If you don't want to take a class and you just want me to do it for you and you want to have a reading, we can do that too. But that's not the point here. I wanted to share with you a couple things. One, I love human design. That was already established. It came to me through someone else because that's my best flow state, which I know according to my human design. My mother, who was my astrology teacher, my first one, was able to learn a little bit about this before she got sick and died about 2 months later. But that was also a gift for me. And I know she would be deeply fascinated by all of the things that go on around this. But one of the other things I wanted to talk about, and I keep saying I'm going to do a class on this. I've been saying this for years that I was going to do a class on the midlife crisis transits that occur to everyone in astrology land, and then kind of how they are also correspond in human design. One of those, as I already mentioned, that Uranus opposition that I was experiencing usually happens around age 42 for people, give or take a year or so, depending on where or what goes on in your life. That moment is when we are asked to step into our authenticity. So, in the biggest, most profound way possible, we have to go back to the Rudolph red nose, which I didn't even know about that human design stuff back then when I was going through this. And the Uranus opposition shows up a lot of ways. It's one of the primary drivers of people into my office. I will say, I understand at this point in my life, people seldom come to see me because they're in a good mood or having everything go the way they want. They come because they know I can help them with problems and kind of figure things out. People show up during Uranus opposition and it looks like I'm getting divorced. I'm moving across the country. I'm starting my own business. I don't want to live in my house anymore. These kinds of things tend to be really specific to the individual and you can see it in their chart. My Uranus, for example, is in my fourth house of home. And the opposition was occurring while Uranus was in my 10th house of career. And so I have now come to pretty much assimilate anything that happens to Uranus in my chart by transit has to do with my ability to do this spiritual work. My first pass at speaking to dead people that popped up into my brain was during this period of time. I had no idea what was happening. Also, around the same time, Saturn was opposing itself, and that's a whole nother thing. This Uranus opposition, though, really is one of the biggest things that brings people into my space. People feel out of control. They feel itchy in a way that there's something itching, but they don't know what it is, so they can't scratch it. They're restless. They're craving something they can't put a name to. And where did this come from? And why is this like this? Because I didn't feel like this 3 years ago. But there's something that is begging to be born in that moment of authenticity, of genuine, what you're here for-ness. And so for me, this did affect my home. This did affect my work. I left my work within a year or so after that occurring, my work of 20 years working in cancer prevention research, which I still love deeply. So if anybody has something they want me to talk about there, I'll totally be on board with that. But the point of the matter is, it depends where it is in your chart, but everybody goes through this. People come and they're like, why do I feel like this? And there's guilt or sometimes it's relief. I feel so good to be finally shedding this skin. There's a whole host of things around this. So that's from the astrological standpoint. From human design standpoint, when we talk about the Uranus opposition, we talk about living our life in the south node, which is about our comfort zone and kind of where we might hold our habits. It's also a highly spiritual place. And we start to shift into our north node as a primary driver. So in human design land, you would then look at the north node for guidance on what comes next. In astrology, the north node is about, we call it like a little mini rising sign, kind of a mini where I need to go in this world. Who am I? What am I here for? And same could be said in human design. The south node, so if you're looking at your chart, that's a little horseshoe looking thing. That looks like the pointy part or round part is pointing down. That's our comfort zone. That's where we can get stuck. That can also be past life stuff that we need to be done with and grow out of and into the future. So if you think about the south node, the one that is like down facing, that's what we need to step away from. And the north node, where we go after our Uranus opposition, pretty much in human design, but also I could see it in astrology. We just don't use the same words. is about our path forward, which can feel deeply uncomfortable, hence the reason people get itchy and have hives and are like, I don't know what to do with my life and why is this happening and why do all these things happen? But if we think about Uranus doing these things to us, it's not to do it to us, but it's to get us back to our essence. So I, for one, love that. I found all these things that I adore in my life. I love my work with spirit. I love human design and astrology. And I was able to forge this relationship with all of them at a deeper level during this period in my life. Very much a wake up call for me, a wake up, shake up energy. And now it's a part of my life and I can't step away from it because I love it so much. So that's a really big around the barn way of describing when I met human design. So I told you that I would go over the lines with you. I think you could find 300 podcasts today that will tell you about being a manifester and a projector and all that kind of thing. But because the lines were so important to me when I was getting into this, I want to talk about those. So if you know your human design profile numbers, if you don't look them up, you can find it at any website. I use Genetic Matrix. You can use any tool that you find. So go ahead, I'll wait, Google it, put your birth info in, you'll get your profile numbers. So there's 6 numbers. That's all. So there's not countless combinations, but basically everybody has 2 lines. One line is more of a conscious number for you, something that you're aware of on the daily. It feels like this is me, this is who I am. That's the first number. The other one is a little bit more unconscious. So energy that you might not have as much scope on, perhaps. You might, feel like, oh, well, that's not me. That's not how I do it, right? Like I'm not that way, but yes, you are. And we can see it, but you might not be able to see it. And so those are your numbers. So if you have those, consider both of them are important. One is not better than the other one. There's no like rhyme or reason around, oh, I feel this, but not that. Just go with it. Just go with it and trust me. The first number is the one you have conscious awareness of. So if you're a 3-5, that's the 3. If you're a 4-1 like me, that's the 4. If you're a 1-3, which is a very common one, that's the 1. So I'm going to just go through them one at a time. I'll talk about the lines. Both energies are important to you, but just kind of work through this with me. So if you have a 1 in your profile, so this is if you're a 1-3, this is if you're a 1-4, a 4-1, a 5-1. You are the investigator. You are here to learn a thing deeply. You are a researcher. These people tend to be very curious by nature. They also want to share what they know with others. And so it is not just learning for the sake of learning, but it's learning so then I can tell you about it, right? I love a line 1 for a person you want to go on vacation with because they're going to investigate every single place in the world to go, to visit, to see while you're there. What's the best places to eat? Where's the best place to stay? What's the best, train to take to this location? They're going to set it up for you. That's a line 1. So line 1's all day. They're very curious people. They may also have as line 1 sometimes is a bit of a protective energy because they also don't want to be called out. They don't want to be seen as unprepared for anything. So a line 1 does all that research and work so that you cannot tell them they're wrong. I have this line. I don't resonate as much with this as my 4 line, but I do have this line. And then we have our line 2s, which are called the hermit. I don't love the names that human design gives to people and things, but it's true. This is what it is. The hermit. The hermit is the line 2. So these people need alone time. Like some of us need water. I need a lot of water. I may have some right now. Line 2 people need time to recharge themselves. They need to be in their own energy. They need to step out of the peopling. Okay. So there are 2-4s, there's 6-2, there's 2-5s, there's several different variations on having a 2 in your profile, but all of them have this need to have space. So the 2-4 is an interesting one in particular. I only call this one out because these people are like hardcore. This is it. This is me. 2-4. 2s want to be home, 4s need people. So it's sort of a natural juxtaposition that lives there. I also can see in their astrology chart, this is a lot of full moon people. This is a lot of people who have natural juxtapositions in their chart anyway. So it's really kind of interesting how it shows up in both ways. But it's like they need the alone time and they need people. So they know that they need both. And so I actually had one line, a 2-4 person say to me, oh, I know they come find me if I don't go. So I just go. But the 2/4s also say it's not usually as bad to leave my house as it is, once I get there, I'm good, but the whole thinking about it is worse than going. So if you're a line 2, this is you. Josh Allen is a 2/4, since I always want to come back to his chart, and he is a Cancer moon, which is totally wants to be home, and he's a Gemini sun, which totally does not want to be home. So you can see it. It makes sense. Line 3. Line 3s are our experimenters. So everything's an experiment for these folks. And it's such a fun line, really. They make great discoveries. They learn through mistakes and successes. But thing with having a line 3 in your profile is these people tend to, and we're getting back to Rudolph's nose, they tend to judge their mistakes as, why did I have to spend so much time in that relationship? Why did I go have that job? Like, whatever it is. And the thing is that that's how you learn, line 3 people, and you can't judge yourself for it. Otherwise, you're missing the mark, right? So if you can take the charcoal off your nose and just accept that this is how you do it, these people can also fall in love really easily. They can fall out just as easily. So there's that for the line 3s as well. But mistakes are how they learn. So these are 3/5s, 1/3, 3/6. There's a lot of 1/3s floating around the earth. I get a lot of them in. If you're a 1/3, you have to know that trial and error is your way of life. Tend to be human BS detectors too. So anytime I say that to a group of line 1/3 people, they crack up because they know it's true. Line 4s. So this is one I have. This is one I resonate more with. These are our people. Their relationships are very important. Opportunities come to them through their network. So like my EF Hutton friend, who also has a line 4 in her profile, she brings me things all the time. And I tell her about stuff that I see because we kind of go back and forth. These folks tend to be slow to change, but they care very deeply about the things they're involved with, which is sort of part of why they have a hard time stepping away from things. These kind of folks should work with people they know. So they're not going to do great with some cold call job. They're not going to do great on dating apps unless you kind of already have some kind of a connection with these folks. I say that my husband and I both have 4s in our profile, and we met on a dating app, but it ended up like he lived in my cousin's backyard, and my grandfather and his mother went to church together and stuff. So like we all knew each other anyway. We just didn't know. So it was just bound to happen at some point in time. Line 4 is your opportunities come from people you know. So it's best to have your feelers out there. You got to leave your home. You got to go see people. So these are 1/4s, 4/1s, 2/4s, 4/6s, all very different. But the energy that consistently runs through them is the 4 line, wanting to be with your people because that's where your stuff comes from. Line 5 people, these are our 5/2s, our 5/1s, 3/5s. These folks, their life has a bit of a destined quality to it. They are here to help other people. Boundaries are a huge issue with 5 people because everybody wants you for something. They tend to be a mirror for other people. It can be hard if you're a line 5 for people to see the real you. People think they know you better than they do. Tend to have a very seductive personality, and I say that in a way that is magnetic, calling people towards you. So even if you're not trying to do that, you kind of are. Line 6s. So our 6 line people, these are our role models. These people can have like a late bloomer quality to them. I remember the last time I did a human design workshop, I had a woman in the room who said moments before I shared this, and she had a 3/6 profile. Oh, I'm such a late bloomer. I don't know why everything takes me so long. And I'm like, well, here, let me show you. It's because you're a line 6. So these are our experts. These people are here to become our wise advisors, our teachers. They're in their early years, they might be similar to a line 3, a lot of trial and error, a lot of bumping into walls and figuring things out. But the line 6 have a bit of like a destiny quality to them. So there's a thing they're here to do. If I see a lot of 6/2s. 6, now mind you, the 2 wants to stay home. The 6 needs to get out there because people want to learn from them. They often feel like they're pulled, okay? The 4/6s, another common one I see a lot. Those are much more gregarious, people-y people sorts of folks who are not going to judge you, and they're just going to be good rocks and foundation for you to like live your life with. I love a good 4/6. So our line 6 people, you can't hide. You have to go out there and do the thing that you have to do. So that's just like a tiny little cosmic snippet of what human design feels like when you start to piece it together. You can put those lines together and then it makes all the sense. Those are some of the things that I do with clients. Also, if this is like interesting to you and you feel that full body wiggle like I did the first time I learned about human design, come to my workshops this summer. First of all, Lilydale is a magical place. You can do all sorts of things. So you can get a reading, you can go to the Stump, you can go to Forest Temple, you can go to the beach, you can do all kinds of things. It's magical. The grounds are lovely. My workshops are at the end of July. So that peak of summer, Thursday, July 30th, would be from 9 to 4. We're going to be doing Human Design 101. It's the first time I've ever had an entire day to do human design. I'm super jazzed about it because I normally am like afternoon at best. I love teaching human design. It like full body light up for me. I get excited when I do it, and I think I inspire the others when they come in, but whatever. Second day is the synergy of human design and astrology. So that's the one I'm so excited for because I haven't done it yet in public. I do it all the time in my life. I just gave you a little bit of an example about that Uranus opposition in the South North Node thing, but this is going to be both of the systems coming together. We're going to go through the planets, what they mean in each system. We're going to look at the design and the personalities, all these things. We're going to talk about all kinds of things. And that's going to be amazing. I just know it is because it's such a fun, interesting topic. And that's Friday, July 31st, again, 9 to 4. You can do both workshops. You can do one or the other. You don't have to do both. Both are at Lilydale Assembly, which is the world's oldest spiritual center in the world. It's a great place in Cassadaga, New York. It's a beautiful time of year to be there. I would love to have you join me. I will put the links for those in the show notes. If this human design stuff, though, makes you excited, let's talk. I want to share this with you. I want to help you get the charcoal off your nose. And remember, this is meant to be an experiment. It took a super long time to load these layers of charcoal on our noses. And while it might take a little time to unring the bell, we are here for it. Getting authentic, getting back to our essence, and being our best, most magical self. So thank you for being here with me today on Unreasonable Magic. Please subscribe. Please share these episodes. This means the world to me. I love sharing these topics with you. And next week, I have a guest coming in. We're going to talk about some other really wild stuff that has gone on in life. Again, things that happened outside of what could possibly be deemed as normal. I'll give you the backstory on the one case I talked about on the telepathy tapes, and it'll just be fun. It'll be fun because the person coming on is one of my nearest, dearest soul's friend, and we just have a blast together. So you're going to have fun too. So I hope to see you back next week. Take care and keep looking for the magic, my friends.